gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. On the air and just calling. Conversations with Coach La 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 Coach La 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 La. If you got something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, lava, oh, and get a business to empower you so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the air and just calling. Conversations with Coach La 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 Coach La 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 La.
What's going on, beautiful people? Once again, you are live to another episode of Conversations with Coach La. How y'all feeling? Happy Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. You have to actually go to Facebook to be able to see the live feed. We're not live on Instagram, but we're live on Facebook. If you are looking to watch it on Instagram, you have to follow Conversations with Coach La to see it live on Instagram. But you're tuned into the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. I am your favorite around the way therapist. Coach La is in the building on this beautiful Sunday evening. And you guys know what we do on this show. We talk about all things that involve life and anything and everything that can impact your mental health. And we are debunking myths and stigma about mental health, one conversation at a time. So tonight's conversation is going to be with a young lady that I met at Carmen's event who does Heal. And we were at the same event, and this was an event that I was a guest speaker at. And she brought her company, Let's Write Life. And they had all these beautiful journals and just all these things that I love. I love pens and journals and books and planners and T-shirts. And then she just had this wonderful spirit. She is a journaling and wellness educator. She's a personal development program director. She's also an author and a speaker and a mental and maternal health advocate and a business consultant. Let me tell you, this lady does it all. She's a trailblazer in her own right. And one of the things that I've admired about her bio is in 2015, she developed and really started to launch her company. So she helps busy entrepreneurs, women of color, prioritize their mental health and self-care through journaling. She's also one of the highly rated motivational self-care and wellness providers for over 15 years of experience working with individuals and groups. So I am super excited to learn more about her mental health gym that she does and one of her programs, which is called the Best of Me Empowerment Program, which is a licensed, well-established organization that is leading women and young girls to discover who they are. So can we welcome, without further ado, to Conversations with Coach La, Miss Latonia Francois. What's going on, girl? Yes. You got to put that mic up. Bring that mic up so they can hear you. You got to talk into the mic. And
all right.
There you go.
There we go.
Yes.
We go.
Now, can y'all hear her?
Yes.
She sounds good, right? Her mic sounds nice.
Yes.
Check one. So I'm excited to have you here.
Same.
Oh, my goodness. So tell me a little bit more about who Latonia is outside of your bio.
Yeah. I was driving over here thinking about that, okay, outside of all the things that I do, who really knows Latonia? What's she about?
Yes.
And it came to my mind, hope dealer.
Ooh.
Hope dealer. That came to my mind because a lot of people don't know who I am or even about Let's Write Life unless you're closely connected to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, well, because where do most people need hope? In dark places. And
That
that's
is very
typically
true.
where I am. I'm in
Right.
the dark places of people's lives who are going through difficult times and difficult things. And so I am that light for people. So I'm usually in dark places. And so when I was thinking about what can I say like that people can really get to know like who I am and gee, how come I haven't known about her? Because I'm out in the world just being a light for people in dark places.
You know, that is so interesting because you don't classify yourself as a therapist. And a lot of therapists would probably agree of talking to people in some of their most darkest places. Where are some of the places that you are encountering or working with your clients?
Retreats right now.
Mm-hmm.
Retreats right now. Basically, and online as well, on Zoom a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things that I do, classes, workshops, are online. And then those special communities where they're just like, we really are struggling with stress right now. We really want to give women a space to just open up, let things out they've been holding on to. So a lot of times they're in just private spaces through different organizations that will have me come out and just create that space for women to just release and have breakthrough in many times. So a lot's online, but a lot's in person and very intimate spaces.
Now you've been hired and brought to speak at a lot of different places. Yeah. Talk to me about some of those, because I was looking and I was like, okay, girl, you busy. Yeah. So some of the things that I have written down here is the Ruth House of Brockton, a center for hope and healing, Bentley University, Brandeis, Bridgewater, Tufts, Massasoit, the Boys and Girls Club, and the Family Resource Center of Brockton, just to name a few.
Yeah.
So you're a busy girl.
Yes.
And so what are some of the things that you talk about at these different conferences and workshops that you do? What is what you're most sought after to talk about?
People finding themselves.
Mm-hmm.
People rediscovering who they are. People who are in a place where really mental health is mainly the underlying thread of conversations. And prior to COVID, I was doing a lot of work in the college space. Getting started with Let's Write Life, which is all about personal development, personal growth, hope healing. Many times when I started Let's Write Life, people gravitated easily and more in that age group. But as I grew, my passion was always with women because of my own story. And so I always talk about mental health and the importance of how to find that light in those dark places. And journaling was that tool for me that helped me to find my light when I was struggling with depression. And that's the lens that I speak from, my story, and letting my story just be that breakthrough for other people.
So I know I always suggest journaling to a lot of my clients. And for some people, they're like, I don't want to do that. I can't stay consistent with it. Some people feel like it doesn't really help them. What are your journaling practices that you feel are effective, and how did they help you?
Yeah, I have a video on my YouTube channel, and it talks specifically about this. For me, journaling wasn't a choice. It actually became my prescription. So some people journal for a hobby, some people journal to relieve stress, some people journal for therapy, some people journal to heal. I was using it to heal. So I journaled all my life. I literally learned how to journal in church as a kid. It was a little project. We made our little prayer diaries. So I've been journaling all my life, but not until my adulthood did I have that encounter of, okay, I can't live my life like this anymore. And depression had reared its ugly head. And I decided I wanted something different. So I changed the way that I was journaling, and it became a source of motivation for me. And every time I journaled, I felt like I could release what I was going through and change my life through it. Just change what I was journaling, change what I was reflecting on, change what I was thinking about, change what I didn't want to write about anymore. So for me, it became a healing tool that even if I didn't want to journal, I did it because I knew it was helping me. So I hope that makes sense, because sometimes people be like, oh, it doesn't work. But for me, I had to make it work. And as soon as I started journaling in a different way, I could see how it was helping me.
Well, I'm a big advocate for breaking things down for layman's terms and for those out there that don't understand, because I know that is a very popular thing that I know I say as a therapist, journaling really can help. But from your perspective, how do you think it helps? What do you think it does for you? Like, if you were to really break it down and articulate it, I know we say it helps, but what do you think it does for you?
Yeah. What I know it does for me is it helps me find gratitude. It helps me process what I'm going through.
Okay, now she breaking it down, y'all, right? Y'all, they want to know what it does, right? So processing. So one of the things that I know is speaking things out loud and writing it down on paper makes it real, right? That's a way of actually validating yourself when no one else validates you, is to write it out. And to be able to see it on paper is often how you connect with your emotions and you make your emotions real. It's also another way of venting and dumping. So I use, I call it a worry journal, and I also call it a brain dump. So for people who deal with anxiety, 2 hours or so before you go to bed is just, everything you're worried about, everything is in your mind, dump it on the paper. And if you could conceptualize and sort of think about it from the perspective of, I'm dropping all of this in this book to let it go. This is my release. I also call it a mental massage. So whenever you feel overwhelmed and you feel like you're going through it, you can pull out your journal, and that is a way to massage your thoughts out. Right. And so to get it out of your head and to get it on the paper. But for you, I don't know. That's how I normally describe how it helps and how I get clients to utilize it, is to think about it as, you don't have to make this a chore, because some people look at it as another task, a check of the box. It becomes like sometimes like going to the gym. But if you look at it as a relief, sometimes it's a lot easier to stay consistent with it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll even make it more broader, or I'm going to bring it to a more visual way. So a lot of times I'll say for me, for example, I was in a season of my life where I needed change, drastic change, because my mental health was so dark. I didn't think my life was worth living anymore. So because of that, I had to say to myself, well, what do I want my life to look like? So instead of thinking about journaling or the journal itself, I think just remove that and start thinking about, what do I want with my life and what can I write that down in? I think if we just remove what journaling is supposed to be and what this journal is, and just think about, what do I want to do with my life? Here's the tool. So I just think about it as a tool that holds my journey. Here's what I want to work on. And this is the vessel that I'm going to put my thoughts in. I'm going to work on my goals. And when I have goals, I'm going to write them down. The same way you would use a notebook. The only difference is it's personal. Right. So when you want to cry, or when you want to celebrate, or when you have milestones, or when you want to write about your dreams and your goals, this is that one intentional, dedicated space that can help you to do it, which is actually why I wrote my second journal, The Best of Me, because I wanted a place where I could focus on me. So once you get past journal and you start to think about yourself
Mhm.
and you say, what do I want with my life? How do I want to get out of this dark place? How do I want to let go of this depression and anxiety that I feel? And you start writing about your joy, your happiness, your goals. Coach La helping me, what my counseling session was like.
Mhm.
You write about that stuff. You're not thinking about the journal anymore. You're not thinking about all the rules in the right way and the wrong way. It's just
Mhm.
you are writing about yourself. And
Yes.
whatever comes out, it comes out. It could be venting and it can be joy. It just is what it needs to whatever you feel.
I agree with that too. I think sometimes we can make things more complicated. I also know that some people haven't wanted to journal because there was some kind of violation earlier on. Like a lot of people recall journals being diaries.
Yes.
Right. But I say like this, people that are on Facebook, because a lot of people are on Facebook and they make the long posts. To me, some people use their Facebook as their journal, as their diary. And I'm no judgment there. But if you do that on Facebook, you can also use a journal. I think that what we do is we sometimes make it complex or there's some kind of trauma with it. So if you've ever written in a journal before and somebody took it and read it or found it or used any of the things that's in it, you may not feel comfortable writing in a journal anymore.
That's real.
So they have this wonderful thing though that you can do on your phone called voice notes. And I've been talking to people about having audio journals. Like sometimes just talking out loud into your phone is just another way of release. And I think all of this stuff is release. So I'm a psychotherapist, right? And so people have asked me like, what is a psychotherapist? What does that mean? It's just talking. It's psychology behind your behavior, your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. And it's two people having a conversation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So psychotherapy is nothing but talk therapy. If you talk on Facebook, if you talk to your friends, your family, your pastor, your church, you can sit down and talk to a therapist. But some people call us a shrink. I never really liked that name. I still don't really get the whole. Yeah, there's some people that still say, "Oh, so you're a shrink." Don't call me a shrink, people. I'm not shrinking nothing.
Little her.
Listen, I'm not shrinking anything. First off,
high vibrating word.
No, right. I don't shrink anybody. If anything, I'm trying to uplift you and make you be big and strong and powerful.
Right.
So I don't like that word. I don't like the word shrink. Now talk to me about some of yours. So you have your own journals, your own books that you created. What are some of your prompts? Because you brought a lot of things here with you today. So make sure when you put it up to the camera, people can see it. But
oh my goodness,
she brought some goodies. What are some of your favorite journaling prompts that people can write down or sort of use that you like? What are your go-tos?
You know what? I have a few right now. So like I have a lot of favorites, but I feel like every season is different where certain ones stand out more than others. I do have an ebook though with over 650 journaling prompts for every month of the year.
Okay.
So every single month there's different prompts for that time of year. So right now, being that it's spring and I'm just in a space of abundance and breakthrough and what ifs, because this is the time of year for us in New England, we can get out, the weather's opening up. So a prompt right now that I am liking is, if you had 24 hours to live, what would you do with that time? Because I feel like a lot of times many women get stuck, and I feel like it's because they think there's time, or that they're stuck in a mindset that's making them feel that they can't break through whatever they're in. And if I ask this question, like, if you removed this depression, or if you removed money, if you removed the lack of time or the lack of knowledge, what would you do in the next 24 hours if I could give you anything you wanted, if you had everything you wanted? And then we look at that answer, and then I start to say, why can't we do this right now? Like you can start this right now. You might not be, and it just opens you up.
Yes, because I think often too, the other thing that when we talked about what we wanted to sort of leave people with in terms of takeaways is to imagine the life that you want. right? What is it that you want? When we say let's write life, if you could write your life exactly the way you want it was a level 10 and you woke up tomorrow and it was just the way you wanted it, what would you notice was different about yourself, your environment, and what you were doing? What would you be doing? Who would you be doing it with? Right. And some of that you can write in your journal. I will tell you, one of the ways journaling has helped me is whenever I've written things down and I started to actually manifest. And manifest, some people like, oh, using that mystical stuff. What does that mean? What do you mean by visualization? If you've ever wanted something so badly and you thought about it every single day, you talked about it every single day, you wrote it down, you took action steps to make it happen, it happens. And I think the first step to anything is really writing it down. Yeah. Writing it down before you get all complicated on like writing a SMART goal or, making it and, writing it down into steps of how you're going to get it. Do you even know what you want? Yes. Have you even thought about it in your mind? Have you imagined yourself, visualize yourself in that position? Yeah. Doing what you want to do. Because most of us have so much negative self-talk, we won't even dream anymore.
There's so many things people should be writing. Like even as you're speaking, I'm like thinking of, okay, a lot of women feel stuck or they just feel completely confused. What should they do? And my first thought is, well, did you write your vision down? Did you write down what you want to do? Because sometimes it's in their head and it's confusing. There's a lot of tangles. There's a lot of thoughts. You're a mother, you're a wife, you got all these roles, and you're just like, write down the thing that you're confused about. And then you can start to organize your thoughts.
And not only that, right? The other thing that comes up a lot for people is they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any purpose. My life, like you said, I feel stuck. But what is it that you want to do? Right. Right. And when you start really asking these questions, most people will sometimes be a deer in headlights. And they have no idea.
And it's because they're not writing it down. This is where it gets a little like, well, you don't want to write things down, but you also are confused.
So why don't you want to write it down though?
So this is where I say, like, this is where it's not a choice for you. Because you need to write things down now, because this is how not only you will be able to see your thoughts, but now someone can help you. Someone can look at what you're going through and be like, hey.
But that sounds so easy though. Like I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right? Because if it was so simple to just write it down, right? Because some people got tons of notes. They writing stuff down all the time. Yeah. Right? It's not just writing it down though. It's writing it down and actually believing that you can achieve it, asking for help. Yeah. And taking action to make it manifest. So I think it's just not writing it down. That's like step one.
That's step one. It is
step one. Yeah. And I think people don't write it down. Who's going to be honest? For fear of it not happening and fear of making it real. Because once you put it on paper, I want to get this house. I want to be married. I want to be a millionaire. I want to start a business. Trying to think of some other things people have told me that keeps them stuck. I want to be a mother. I want to be a dad.
They want to travel.
I want a car. I want to travel. I want to pay off my debt. So all of these things, you now have to then do something with it. It's like, oh shoot, I wrote it down. What am I going to do? And so I think a lot of times we get discouraged, right? We get discouraged, and we also can engage in what we call self-betrayal, where you go against what you wrote down you wanted, which is why it's good to have a coach or a therapist that can help hold you accountable. So you say you want this house, but every weekend you out doing the turn up, and the turn up is running you $200 and $300 a week. You know, if you do the math on that, that's a down payment in a whole year if you just stop going out, right? So sometimes writing it down is what makes you actually have to hold yourself accountable to the things that you're doing that are not in alignment with what you want. I know that was a mouthful, y'all.
Yo, but you hit some things.
I know that was a mouthful, y'all. But the reality of it is, writing things down is like the secret sauce. If you wanted the cheat code, we're giving you the cheat code. Get you a journal and write it down. I threw some different prompts that you can use. So some of them are, what happened today? These are good ones to even do with your kids. I like to ask my son, what was something funny or interesting that happened today? What was the best thing that happened today? I ask my clients, every session, I'll say, what's been better for you since the last time we met?
Yeah, I like
Do
that.
you know how many people struggle with that?
I know.
And I ask every session, what's better for you since the last time we met? And a lot of people say nothing.
Yeah.
And you know, the other thing is acknowledging your small wins.
Gratitude.
Right? The fact that you might have got up, you was going to work on time all week. Those things are like big accomplishments, but sometimes people will like look past that because they didn't get the big thing. The other one is, what was the most interesting thing that I saw or heard today? These are all prompts, real easy prompts. What was the most challenging thing I faced today? Here's one for you, Latonia. What am I grateful for today?
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
What did I learn today? We always learn something new every single day, even if it's just learning something about thyself.
And you know what happens when you use journaling prompts? For some people don't know what to write. Journaling prompts are great. And just those prompts that you shared alone, just think about how much you are learning about yourself every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And this journey of journaling is about personal growth. It's about personal development. So when you were talking, this is where I was like,
sis.
She hit it.
Hey, sis. Hey, Ray Royale. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in on all of the platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, my Facebook group. Shout out to all the conversationalists out there. Everybody that's tuned in from iHeartRadio. You are listening to Conversations with Coach La right here on the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. Yes, we are one of Boston's only Black-owned radio stations on iHeartRadio. I love saying that. Yes, it's so awesome.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about how you came up with the idea to start your business, Let's Write Life.
Yeah. So 2015 is when I came out of that season of depression in my life and decided to go on this journey that I call the best of me. And because this is a question a lot of people have, how do you know that you healed? How do you know that
That's a great question.
You did worked? How do you know?
That's a great question.
Well, because I'm not about to kill myself. Like, I am a testimony.
Mm-hmm.
I am not
People don't
where
realize
I used to be.
That part of hospitalization and medication is to preserve life, right? So that's when you normally will see people have to get additional help, is really to stop loss of life. But go ahead.
Yeah. So every day, to the point of gratitude, every day is a testimony that it worked for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like a lot of this journey, or at least what I'll share for anybody listening, is that when you hear my story or hear about Let's Write Life, I wasn't worried about what everybody else was thinking and what everybody else is doing, because my life was on the line not too long ago. And because of my experience with journaling, when I figured it out, a lot of people trying to figure it out, like, how do I overcome it? How do I be free from this mental prison I'm in? How can I be done with it? Like, I am so grateful to say that I am literally 12 years sober from my mental illness. And there's triggers, just like a cold. There's certain things that I do to keep my mental illness at bay. So I wanted to share my journey with other women, because I'm like, I was struggling. If anybody's dealing with what I went through, I don't want to see that. I know how to help them now. And I started Let's Write Life. So Let's Write Life literally means let us write, meaning make real. That's why I love that you're saying this. Life, what's most meaningful to us. Those are the word definitions.
Much sense.
Those are the word
you know, for everybody who, especially around this time of the year, believe it or not, is when we have some of the highest suicide rates and suicidal ideation in the springtime, right? It has a spike in the spring and around the holidays. So a lot of people are struggling, right, with just making meaning out of life. A lot of people don't know why they don't feel connected to anything, right? And depression is really, really real. And I think one of the key things to getting over depression is to find things to be grateful for. And
Yeah,
I
for
always say
sure.
that, like, doing things that you love. And I know for those that have depression, this is hard. It's not always easy. I don't want this to seem
Right.
like it's just cookie cutter and you just start journaling and you just start being grateful and woo, voila, you feel
No.
better. But what we can tell you is that that daily process of including these things, you will slowly start to come out of that dark place, but it does take time. But I
Yeah.
think, things like playing with kids, getting having a pet, volunteering, mentoring other people, right? In
Yeah.
conjunction with the journaling gives you meaning. And so a lot of times what depression it lives in, and it sucks off of you feeling like there's no purpose and nothing really matters and you don't have any significance and no one cares about you. Like, it feeds off of those thoughts.
Yeah.
So if you can change that way of thinking through journaling, writing down everybody that cares about you and why they care about you, what and how you're connected to your purpose, what your strengths are, what people love about you. There's a prompt that I do with my clients that is, you do it in third person. So if you were doing it, you would go, I love Latonia because, and you
Oh,
would
that's a
fill up
tough
a
one.
journal. You would fill up
Woo.
your journal nonstop for 8 minutes. You just go with all
That's
of the
good
things,
practice.
right, of why Latonia loves Latonia. And then the other piece to that, when you run out of prompts, run out of things, you then start thinking about what other people have told you that they love about you. And this
I
is
love
something
that.
that you can do when you're feeling like, when you get a no, when you get rejected, you're going through a breakup, you lose a job. Like, you got to have these things in your toolbox to pull you from these spaces that are going to sometimes hit your self-esteem. Because when your
Yeah.
self-esteem gets hit, your self-worth gets hit, and then your sense of purpose gets hit, those are all like a recipe to get depressed.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um
Yeah, I said a mouthful, y'all. She trying to collect her thoughts. Once again, y'all know what y'all tuned into. It's Conversations with Coach La. We talk about mental health here in a very, down to earth way, because we want to debunk myths about what it is and what it's not, because it affects everyday people. And often we think it's just going to be somebody who's like in the street screaming and, or somebody who's broke from a sense of reality, right? They may be psychotic. It doesn't show up like that.
No.
Majority of the people are struggling with anxiety and depression. Those are the two most common mental health conditions,
Right.
Amongst Americans.
Yeah. I'll share to something you said too with journaling. I had shared earlier that I'm a hope dealer. So
Yes,
it's
talk about it.
So I find people in dark places. So for those who are journaling, I can journal and life's going to be good. It doesn't, you're right. It doesn't happen like that. It's a matter of getting that paper out and starting to use it as a tool in your dark place. Because there's a lot of things that you can find in your dark places that are not as positive. And journaling is just a positive alternative to maybe drugs or suicidal thoughts and things like that. It's another option that's there for you. And just like anything in life that you don't know or you're not sure how to do, educate yourself. We can educate ourselves around everything else, even jobs we don't like. We try to learn how to do them better. But for some reason, when it comes to ourselves, like investing in ourselves in times, books are not that expensive. Watching videos to learn how to better ourselves. Journaling is something too where you can learn, you can practice, and you don't have to do it alone. I'm not going to sit here and act like journaling is some little isolated only to yourself, you're the only one doing it. There's other people out here journaling, and there's communities, and there's pages and accounts, social media, people who journal, who can show you how to make it fun, show you can literally go on nature walks, you can have a travel journal. Journaling is not just something you do when you're in pain or that you're venting. There's another side of it that is fulfilling and joyful as well. So I like to say write in the right places, not just write in your journal, write when you're on vacation, write when you are at work and you need an outlet, write with others who,
Correct.
write
I,
all over the place.
I think you were hitting the nail on the head. So thinking about some other things that, because again, I look at journaling and visualization and manifestation. I feel like they all
Yeah.
go hand in hand. I also know that there is, I might jack this scripture up, but please don't. I know it's in the book of Habakkuk, and
Yep.
it talks about
Write
writing
the
it down
vision,
and
make
making
it
it plain.
plain.
So it's also all throughout the Bible. I know today a lot of people celebrated Easter, Resurrection Day.
Yes.
If you did, then all y'all Christians, all y'all believers out there need to be journaling and writing stuff down. Somebody else had talked to me about doing a prayer journaling book. So you have
Yeah.
a prayer that you find, and then you
There's
journal
so
about,
many great journals.
yeah, you journal about that prayer. But here's a couple of other journaling prompts just to throw them out there. What did you want to be when you grew up, and why?
For me?
No, these are some other
okay.
journaling prompts that people
Yeah.
can use.
Yeah.
What are 5 things that you would like to do before you in the next 20 years? But actually it says, what are 5 things you would like to do before you were 20 years old? That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So like I hate, personally though, I hate timelines. I hate to think those timeline type of things, or like, what do you want to do in the next 10 years, 5 years? What do you want to do by the time you're 30, 40? I think those have set a lot of people up for being depressed, because they go, well, I wanted to have this by the time I was 30, or I wanted to be here by the time I was 40. And because I'm not there, that can be a source of depression, a place of depression for people. What do you think about that? Do you think that you've seen that with your clients, that if they didn't hit certain timelines, that's made them feel down?
Yeah. And I think this is why it's good. Like, if you are on a healing journey or a self-discovery journey, that's why it's good to have good people around you. Because sometimes your own thoughts, like we shared before, will just get in the way of your growth. And if you're in a moment where you're feeling like that, someone else can say, someone like a coach, someone like myself, or if you're on a retreat for that matter, you're able to voice those things. They don't have to stay in your head, because someone can easily say to you, and that's okay. And that's okay. You didn't get to do it. There's a lot of things, and let's be honest here, there's a lot of things that I wish I could have done by certain ages, but it didn't happen, and it's okay. And when you learn to look at life differently, I think this is part of the personal growth. When you grow, you get to a point where certain things you're okay with letting go.
Well, then too, I this is where I'm going to debunk some stuff. You can start your life over, and you can do anything you want to do at any age. I think sometimes this timeline stuff makes you think, okay, I can't write that down. I wish I would have went back to school in my 20s, and I didn't do it then. So I'm now 50. I can't go back to school now. So you got these thoughts in your head about what you can and you cannot do. And some of the best entrepreneurs started, like Vera Rang, her story, when she started her whole career, she was like in her 50s. So many people started their careers later in life. And honestly, I think that's probably the best time sometimes to start in your 40s, because between 40, I think, until like 65 are some of your highest income earning years. So if you just figured out what you really wanted to do when you were in your 40s, like real talk, that's probably right on time. Because you feel like, I feel like your 20s is your exploration time anyway. You're trying to figure life out. You're kind of wild. You don't really know what you want to do. Your 30s, you get a little more self-aware, a little bit more grounded. But when you hit that 40 mark, you're like, all right, I know exactly who I am. And for those of you that don't know that, what you may know is just what you don't want to do. And you know what you don't know. That might be all you know when you're in your 40s, but that saves you so much time, because you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience.
Yeah. And I think it's like okay to put it out there, but to also be okay to leave room for what God's going to do, and leave room for growth. Like, I'm going to say it over and over again. We cannot control growth. We can't control the rain. We can't control the sun. So we have to just give ourselves some grace. And I feel like sometimes the expectations of others adds expectations on ourselves about where we should be in life. And what if we're able to just, like I said, when I wanted my healing, I wasn't thinking about nobody else or anybody else. I was doing it for me. And so when you start to release expectations in that way, you're going to be so much happier. It's good to use it as benchmarks, but it's not a permanent thing. Like, you don't have to tie yourself to certain things, and
I
to
like
just
that.
be okay.
I like that. The benchmark. I like the benchmark, because then what happens is that allows space for you to continue to reach for it.
Leave room.
And I tell people, even so, say you were looking to save 20 grand and you got to 15,000. Guess what? You got 15,000.
Exactly.
That's more than what you had when you started. So I think we have to give ourselves grace.
The small wins.
And you have to celebrate your progress. Progress, not perfection. So talk to me about this retreat. I just put in the chat, you have a retreat coming up, the Best of Me retreat. And this isn't the first time you've done these retreats. So talk to me about the retreat that's coming up. When is it? What can people expect? And let's get, you guys got to register for her retreat. Go ahead.
Yes. So throughout the year, I run different retreats. Every retreat has a different theme. This one that's coming up is called the Best of Me, which is the retreat. It's the mother of all retreats. Like, this one is the one where we go into ourselves. Like, the transformation that you want in your life is the transformation that we start to work on within, because that's where everything changes. So on this retreat, we go through a few personal development sessions where we're talking about your story. And we start with where you are right now. What do you know about yourself? What do you love about yourself? What makes you who you are? And we just kind of let people self-define.
Okay.
And then from there, we go through now what's the part of your story we didn't talk about? We go really deep. So there's going to be some breakthroughs and unpacking, because it's easy to tell people all the great things in life. But in order for us to become the best versions of ourselves, we also have to know the things that are preventing that from happening as well. So the depression, the imposter syndrome, the things that make us feel stuck, the things that no one knows about that's keeping you stuck, and not being free to be who you are. We are in a safe space where people can feel they can get the healing and breakthrough that they need.
I'm loving it.
Which is why I love retreats. And the best part about my retreats is that I pick the most unexpected, beautiful destinations that people typically wouldn't even have access to be honest, because they're just so expensive most of the times, or they're just, people don't even know that they exist.
Oh, I'm looking at this space, guys. This place is beautiful. Now, you were giving me some background to this particular retreat. And I always talk about bet on self moments, and those moments where you say, if not now, then when, and if not me, then who? And I know that I feel like when we were talking that this particular retreat is one of your bet on self moments, but talk to us about your bet on self moment, because I'm up here looking at this retreat, y'all, in this space. Good Lord. This is a beautiful
4
space.
days away from the retreat. So
yes. And this is in Newry, Maine. And yes, the house is gorgeous. I'm just looking now. I'm like, woo,
that's my house.
Can I have that house? I need to be living there. So talk to me about your bet on self moment.
Yes. So back in 2013, when I was rock bottom in depression, and what that looked like for me was I had no job. I was pregnant with my second daughter, and I did not know the purpose or meaning for my life. And I had an encounter with God one night. I was just in my bed, and it was just like I could hear like God saying, I'm gonna save you. It was just like that. And I had to make a decision. So key here, you got to make a decision. And sometimes that's the hardest part. You want to stay in that place because it seems harder to get out of it and easier to stay in it. But I didn't want that life anymore. I just didn't want that life anymore. I wanted something different, not just for me, but for this baby. I don't know, something hit me in that moment when it was like, I'm going to save you. And I realized like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. That's how depression is. Like you will be in an outer body. You don't even know those thoughts can be so strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought of this baby inside my belly. And it's like, I don't want this in her DNA. I don't want this to be her makeup. And it just gave me that light. And I started to write about, okay, I want to get out of here. I want to save my life. Long story short, a year later from that moment, I was like, you know what? I want to help other women to go through this journey of what I went through. And one of the first companies that hired me to just speak and lead a journaling workshop was Bentley University. And they sent their students up to this house, the house that I'm going to. And the group that was hosting the retreat there was called Coming Full Circle. About, let me see, earlier that year, not too much earlier, maybe a few months earlier before this retreat, I had a vision in my mind about something. I just felt like I could see this vision of what God was calling me to do, but I could not write it. So this is why I say it's not always easy to write. Sometimes you can't write. You don't have the words.
Mm-hmm.
So something inspired me to draw it. So my dad's an artist. So I know I can draw, but I'm not like as good as artist.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, you know, I'm going to do something different with my journaling. I have this art journal. So I drew this. Let me see if I can show it to you guys. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. We can see it.
Okay, there it is. I drew this. This is my journal, 2015, just about 10 years ago.
You see how creative she is, y'all, right? She's flipping it. She got colored pencils and all that.
Yep.
She don't play.
Yeah.
Now that is a masterpiece in itself. She don't play.
So
if you're gonna have somebody training you about journaling, let me just tell you, she got sketches. It looks like
it didn't start this way. It did not start. I was on my phone doing like a Google, like how do I draw hands? Like I was like, I gotta get this vision out. So long story short,
she keeps saying that, y'all. Don't you love people who say long story short?
No, I'm about to wrap
they don't
it up
really
real quick.
They don't really be short stories.
Listen, you guys gonna learn how short I'm about to make this right now.
Okay, so you got this vision, you drew this picture, you went to this place that's out here in Newark, Maine, because you were with
I didn't
Brandeis.
go there yet. Oh yes, Bentley.
You already there.
I'm already there.
You went there. You had a great retreat. You was a speaker. All right. So you didn't even think you were gonna ever do a retreat there, or did you walk in and go, one day I'm gonna do a retreat in this place?
No, never.
Okay.
Never. So I'm there. I'm doing the retreat, and after my session, we're like, okay, it's beautiful outside. Let's go take some pictures. I have the students take pictures of me, and it's like the backdrop of the mountains and everything. And I kid you not, I'm looking at this picture of myself, and I saw this vision that I drew at this house. And
wow.
I was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing in my life.
Wow. Don't you love when you have those epiphany, those connections?
Yeah.
Those aha, like, wait a minute, it all makes sense now.
10 years later.
If you're listening and you ever have those questions of like, why me, Lord? Like, why is this happening to me? I'm a good person. I don't understand why I'm going through all this stuff. I trust me when I tell you, if you do some of the things that we shared on this call, I still strongly encourage people to journal, to get a therapist, a life coach. If you're spiritual, to get you a spiritual advisor, but whatever you need. I think sometimes we think we're beyond having confidants and experts, coaches, and advisors in our lives. But even the best athletes, Michael Jordan, Serena, Venus, all of the people that you think are awesome got coaches, mentors, financial advisors, spiritual advisors. They have groups of people. They have a team of people that help them be great, right? And so I think sometimes we don't realize that it takes nothing away from you to go get you a therapist. If anything, right? Real talk, that's like the secret sauce. You'll be surprised how many people got therapists, have life coaches, have spiritual advisors. Get you one.
Let me speak on that too.
Get you one.
And invest in yourself. Many times people say they don't have the money, But certain things that you want, here's what I'm asking women right now. How much does the life you want cost? Tell me.
That's a good
How
question.
much does the life you want cost? If you really sat down, thought about the house, the car, the traveling you want to do,
That's a
what
good
you want to
question.
do for your children, and all this stuff. And I bet you that cost to join that Let's Write Life community, that cost to go on that retreat, to put that money out there to invest in yourself,
Or to get you a therapist or a coach. You know how many people
to get a
don't want
therapist
to
or a coach.
pay the fee to get coaching or therapy, but they spend that on their hair, their nails, a massage,
but
different stuff.
And think about it.
And I'm not saying you don't need to do that, because that's all part of maintenance, and it does help your overall well-being. But your mind is a terrible thing to waste, baby.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that commercial?
Yeah.
Your mind's a terrible thing to waste. Sound like a Negro College League commercial.
Though.
All right. So the retreat is coming up, because we are like wrapping up. Can you believe this? I told you an hour goes by so fast,
it really
right?
Does.
So this retreat is going down Friday, April 5th to Sunday, April 7th. It's 3 days and 2 nights. It's called the Best of Me Empowerment Retreat. And I believe you still have limited spaces, but you have some.
There is one spot left.
One spot left. So if you want it, you better get it. Make sure you say you heard it on Conversations with Coach La.
Yes.
So this is not a large investment, people. I think this is a very affordable retreat. I'm on her page. I dropped the link in the chat. It's letswritewithus.com.
Yes.
Let's Write Life. I said let's write with us. It's Let's Write Life. Let's Write Life.
Yep.
.com/best of me retreat /
Yes.
But you can just go to her website again. That is letswritelife.com. She has one spot left. When I tell you, this is a gorgeous space. The picture is breathtaking. I know there's going to be a lot of reflection and journaling going on there, not to mention the outdoor activities that she's going to have planned. I am unavailable that weekend, or I would have jumped on that last spot, y'all. Y'all know Coach La's my schedule is I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. I have a lot of good things going on, but I cannot be all places like I would like to be. I need like 3 of me. So talk to me about what's next for you. I know the retreat's coming up, and that's like pretty much already in motion.
Yeah.
That's already a done deal. That's sealed, deal, delivered. It's happening. There's nothing that's going to prevent that from occurring.
Nothing.
What's next after that? Are you going to take a break and sort of just reflect and be in a place of gratitude, or are you one of those people you already on to the next thing?
I'm on to the next. Yep. I had my time. At the end of the year, every year, I have my space to reflect, think, and just reconnect with myself. So when the year starts, I hit the ground running because I'm excited about things that I had in the ground. And now it's spring. So for those of you who have seeds in the ground, this is your breakthrough season. This is where those seeds start plopping up and the plants start growing. So I ain't sleeping.
Heard that?
I am not sleeping because I got seeds in the ground and things are breaking through this week. So after the retreat, my greatest hope, next things that I want to see happen more is being able to host retreats for groups, like other groups who are looking to have this space of just reconnection or breakthrough, or being able to just figure out journaling. Being able to rest in 2024 is my theme. So I want to create more spaces for women to rest. So if there are groups of women, church groups, women's groups, college groups, staff, employees, like high achieving women who just want to have space to rest and they're not sure how to cultivate that or would like to run a retreat, I am going to be running retreats.
Sound like
others.
Some collaborations are happening. So be on the lookout for Let's Write Life and Conversations with Coach La retreat. I've been definitely thinking more and more about it. That's one of the things I've written down in my journal and in my goals, along with just wanting to collaborate with more people, is to do some retreats and have some conversations that I have online, but in small, intimate groups of women. And when you leave, you don't just leave like fired up, but you leave with an actual blueprint of like what you're going to do next. And there's follow up. So when you get back, you have a coach, you have a therapist, you got a support system to hold you accountable to what you said when you were at that retreat. Because I think that that's one of the holes or the gaps is like people go on retreats, they're fired up, they're all good while they're away, and then they go back into their environment and it's not as easy to implement everything as they thought. So they need that support when they get home to kind of keep that fire going.
Yes. You know, at Let's Write Life, this is what I'm learning to, well, now I already know this, but I want to, it's what exists within the Let's Write Life community. And one of the things that I'm going to do is for the community, it's $30 a month for women to be able to be a part of the community and they'll have access to everything. But one of the things to go off what you said is I'm feeling that to go on future retreats, you got to be in the community already. A lot of the women who are on the retreats are already in the community, and this is like an added investment in themselves. So that way, when they come back home from these retreats, they're already in a community of people they already know, and they are maintaining that journey that they're on.
That's dope.
Because it's
like
so
that.
important.
Yes.
It's so needed.
I think you have what I'm learning, and I took this from Oprah. These conversations are great, but people still are left with how do you do that?
Yep.
So if you didn't take anything away from this, we want you to take away a couple of things. Start small. Yeah. And that starts with what do you say and how do you talk to yourself every day? If all you do is when you wake up and you start your day is like, what am I looking forward to today? What do I want to have happen today? Right. And maybe that's where you start. And then at the end of the day, you go, what went well today? What am I grateful for today? Right. If you do that on a daily basis, that's a great start to getting yourself in the mindset to journal. Right. And I think keeping it really simple is a good way to get your mind started. But before you touch your phone, before you get on, you start with your kids, your husband, your significant other, social media. Take a moment to be silent with yourself when you open up your eyes and give thanks for waking up that day and think about what you are going to do to make that day be great on purpose. If you started every day like that before you even consumed any other energies, imagine what your day would be like. Because often people don't realize you may not, as soon as you wake up, if you're already in a bad space, it was probably what you went to bed thinking about. Right? It was probably what you went to bed thinking about, and you're repeating and you're ruminating on the same thing every day. At some point, we got to realize, how is that helping the situation get better or go away? So what can you control? Right? So how you start your day off is so important, and how you go to bed at night is equally important. So those two things, if people could just change their morning routine and their nightly routine, you'd be surprised how your mental health would take a dramatic shift.
And if you're always pouring out into others, this is a beautiful way to just pour back into yourself.
That part. Listen, we was dropping all types of nuggets today, or gems or lessons. I like to call them the la lessons. Okay. I was giving y'all some la lessons. I love it. And we helping y'all. Listen, let's write life. It's a new month starting tomorrow. April is starting tomorrow. Let's start the month of April off with you writing your life the way you want it to be and showing up as the person you need to show up as to create that life. What you got in last closing words? Because we got 2 minutes and this is a wrap.
You're worth writing for. You always were. You always will be. So know your worth. Invest in yourself. The best investment in you is going to create that life that you're aiming for and wanting to have. It's not going to be lost. Bet on yourself.
Listen, bet on yourself. There's a book out there called You Are Your Number One Corporation. You are your best investment. You got to prioritize you.
Stock in
yes.
self.
Yes. And the Selfish Women's Group, as we always say, being selfish, taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's just not. So sometimes you got to be a little bit more
Can't even
selfish.
think about it like that.
Yeah. But some people do. I don't want to be selfish. I put everybody before me.
No.
Yeah, now put your oxygen mask on, sis.
You're improving.
Pour into your cup is overflowing, and then give people what you have to give from your overflow. Imagine
that investment. Yes, that overflow.
I know they was getting on me tonight. Coach got on a hoodie, but I'm repping. I'm repping the Selfish Women's Group. Yes. Shout out to Vic Breedy. On June 1st, we're doing our first Selfish Women's Group for 2024.
Okay.
So you guys have been listening to Conversations with Coach La right here on the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. We are on iHeartRadio, and you already know what y'all need to do. Keep having dope conversations. Make sure you bet on self this week, next month, every single day. And I will see you next Sunday right back here for another conversation with Coach La. Y'all know what to do. Come on now.
We are the Urban Heat. Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat.a1fm.com and iHeart Station.